You'd think with all those advisors, speechwriters and handlers, world leaders would avoid, well, this. But politics is messy, and sometimes it's downright eerie. Here are the top 10 political slip-ups that sparked global outrage. Let's open up the files. Let's start in Canada. When old photos of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau wearing blackface and brownface surfaced just before the 2019 election, the internet imploded, and so did Canada's international reputation for being the nice guys. Trudeau apologised more than once, saying he didn't understand the offence back then. But let's be real, he was a drama teacher in a multicultural city. People weren't buying it. At one point, there were at least 3 separate known incidents. While he still won the election that year, it left a deep and awkward scar on Canada's political image. The fallout raised questions about liberal hypocrisy, racial blindness in higher offices, and how far back a politician's past should be excavated for public accountability. Whether it was ignorance or indifference, the damage was done, and it still floats like digital smoke. In April 1986, a reactor at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded. You'd think an event like that would trigger instant international panic, right? Nope. The Soviet government kept everything under wraps for 36 hours. Local residents went on with their lives. Kids played outside in radioactive ash. Adults gardened in poisoned soil. It wasn't until nuclear detectors in Sweden spiked that the USSR fessed up. And even then, it was minimal. The delay sparked outrage worldwide and became one of the clearest examples of government control versus human safety. The truth didn't just leak, it irradiated confidence in the system. That silence said more than any press release ever could. 2003, President George W. Bush stands beneath a giant banner that reads, "Mission Accomplished," aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln. The war in Iraq? Over, apparently. Only, it wasn't. Not remotely. That photo op became one of the most replayed political bloopers in modern US history. The fighting continued, casualties mounted, and the banner became less of a celebration, more of a symbol of overconfidence, or outright manipulation, depending who you ask. Critics still debate if it was meant to celebrate the deployment's end or full-blown war victory. Either way, it didn't age well. It's a reminder how premature triumphs can dig deeper holes. Diplomatic visits are supposed to be diplomatic. But when German Chancellor Angela Merkel met with President Vladimir Putin in 2017, it wasn't just the tense handshake, it was the instant. A camera caught her eye roll. Subtle, but surgical. It went viral overnight. Some saw it as justified shade, others as undiplomatic sloppiness. In a world where micro-expressions become macro events, it was an unusual blip in Merkel's usually composed public image. Germany's PR team didn't comment directly, but body language analysts? Oh, they had a field day. Who knew such a tiny movement could punch headlines across the globe? We're rewinding to 1972, the Watergate tapes. Former President Richard Nixon had audio recordings from the Oval Office, but 18 minutes of one crucial tape were erased. Accidentally, they claimed. Recording error, possibly from his secretary, who said she pressed the wrong button. Right. That blank space became louder than any confession. It didn't just fuel suspicion about the actual crime, it symbolised cover-up culture. Historians and technicians still debate what was really removed, but to this day, those 18 minutes sit at the heart of American political paranoia, missing time that altered history. In 2016, the Vote Leave campaign drove around the UK in a bright red bus with a message that sounded like salvation. We send the EU $350 million a week. Let's fund our NHS instead. Simple, provocative, effective, but also deeply misleading. Fact-checkers tore it apart, revealing that the number was gross, not net, and never realistically meant the NHS would see that cash. It was one of the most impactful political slogans of the decade, and one of the most deceptive. Even Nigel Farage distanced himself from it post-referendum. That bust didn't just confuse the British public, it helped steer a nation into Brexit. During a live broadcast in 2015, Ukrainian Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk gave a speech that was translated into German. Only, the translator didn't quite get the memo. His words, meant to rally Western support, were awkwardly twisted into a confusing mix of historical references that made it sound like Ukraine invaded Germany during WO2. Social media caught the mistranslation instantly, and within hours, conspiracy theories bloomed. Was it a slip-up or sabotage? Language, as it turns out, is a terrifyingly fragile thing in geopolitics. During the Cold War, double agents were everywhere, but one case still baffles historians. Kim Philby, one of Britain's top intelligence officers, was actually a Soviet spy. He managed to leak secrets for decades before defecting to Russia in 1963. What's chilling? Many believe key British officials knew, and said nothing. Not to protect him, but to protect themselves from scandal. Philby's integration in high society, despite rising suspicions, exposes the bizarre loyalties of politics. Sometimes it's not about what you know, but who's too scared to say it? After the 2011 Fukushima disaster, the Japanese government initially kept quiet about how bad things really were. They delayed announcing the meltdown, downplayed radiation, and allowed residents near the site to stay far longer than they should have. When the truth emerged, public trust evaporated. We're talking protests, resignations, and international investigations. Japan's nuclear village, the tight circle of bureaucrats and corporate leaders, was exposed, and suddenly people started asking, when does reassurance become straight-up concealment? There's silence, and then there's damage control deceit. In 2021, President Joe Biden declared during an interview that any cyber attacks from Russia targeting key US infrastructure would cross a red line. The problem? No one was exactly sure what would happen after that line got crossed, and some believe it already had. The ambiguity panicked analysts who feared it boxed the US into retaliatory expectations. When nothing firm followed, critics said the red line was more like a soft blur. Sometimes tough talk, without teeth behind it, creates the kind of tension that stings more than silence. Sometimes the biggest threats don't hide in shadows, they speak into microphones. If that made you raise an eyebrow or three, be sure to like, subscribe, and explore something strange with us every weeknight. That was your dose of the unknown. See you in the next file. Subscribe for more of the unknown.